episode of What's Happening at NCI. I'm your host, Olivia Garrett, and today we have with us a special guest. We have Miss Helen Howell. She is from the Martinsville Henry County chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers, also known as NSBE. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So in our first segment of the show, when we have a guest, we always like to hear a little bit about where they're from, you know, some things about them, what they're doing in the community. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm not originally from Martinsville. I'm from Mount Airy, North Carolina. You all know that's the home of Andy Griffith.
Yeah, not too far away.
Yes, and so actually I was recruited here.
Oh, really?
And I graduated from Mount Airy High School, and then I went on to college in North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina. I received my BS degree there in business education, and then I left there and went on to University of, well, I stayed at A&T for another year to do graduate work. I was on a scholarship, and I graduated in 3.5 years, so I had this scholarship left, so I went on to graduate school. And so I got a master's in early childhood education.
Oh, wow.
And after that, I went on to UNCG to get a master's in business education.
Oh.
And then I was recruited here in the Henry County school system, and I began my career here in Martinsville. And I've been doing that ever since, and I've done some other graduate work at Virginia Tech and other universities around just to get other coursework in. So, and I grew up with 4 brothers.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up on a farm, and my mother, we did everything as far as canning, freezing, and that kind of thing. And she taught me, and today I am so grateful for that, because now you can, you know, all of that, you know, we talk about organic. So, you know, all the things I do now is organic because I get the fresh vegetables and things from the farmers and that kind of thing. So I'm just so grateful with the economy the way it is, and all of these chemicals that takes place, and all of these foods and things. So.
Yeah, you were way ahead of the trend. Thanks, Mom.
Yes, thanks, Mom, for that. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. And I did not realize your educational background. You've got a load of degrees. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful. When I was in high school, I had a job working with Head Start, and that's where I developed my love for children. I did, and so that's why I ended up in the educational field. And I taught in the Martinsville and Henry County school system for 42 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, but you got some stories.
Oh yes, it's been wonderful. I've enjoyed working with children.
Awesome. And now, so how did you come around to getting involved with NSBE, and how did that originate in Martinsville?
Okay, as I told you, I was recruited here after I graduated from college. And what happened was, this was when Martinsville was just booming with it, with the textiles, furniture factories. I mean, when I came here, unemployment was 1%.
Wow. And
that were people that couldn't work and people that wouldn't work. You could have a job this morning, quit, 12 o'clock, you could have another job. It was just, the economy was wonderful here. But the thing about it was that, you know, the factories were here, and a lot of the students, they could go to the office and say, we're having a hardship at home, and they could just drop out of school and get a job in the factory. And, you know, we had a building over at Martinsville where the kids learned how to sew sweatshirts and that kind of thing. And I said, something is wrong with this picture, you know, because I didn't see a large aspiration of students that wanted to go to college. And I said, this has got to change. You know, DuPont was really big here during that time. And so I said to that we got to do something different. My daughter had graduated from Martinsville High School, and she had gone to A&T in engineering. And she discovered NSBE there and told me that this is an organization that these students in Martinsville need to be introduced to. And the home office was in Alexandria, Virginia. And we had never heard of it before. So that year, we decided, and you know, this is a long story, but we decided that we were going to go to the National Convention, which is in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
So we solicited money from the community, and we took 7 students to go to this convention, and we just observed. We came back, we spent an entire year just writing down. We asked the national office if we could have somebody to guide us into developing a program here, and they said you would be the first. So we had to sit there. We took a whole year, developed our guidelines, our mission, everything that we needed to do to get our kids involved.
Wow.
And we recruited the first year 32 students.
That's awesome.
And a lot of these students did not have grade point averages to go into engineering. So we recruited our retired teachers here in Martinsville, and they began to tutor our kids after school. And they got these, by the end of the year, we had these students' grade point averages up to 3.0 and above, except for maybe 2 students, which was at a 2.8 or 2.9. And from that point on, 32 students, the next year we doubled our membership. And so we've been growing ever since, and we've gone to every regional conference and every national conference for 25 years. We've never missed a one.
Wow, that is so interesting to hear. And I feel like that's such a, great grassroots story. It's like you identified the need, you used your resources, and your daughter was out there in college and she brought the idea back, and then you just followed the whole thing along from idea to implementation. That's that's awesome. And bringing all those extra volunteers and teachers together and it was all for the focus of helping students get into college, get some tutoring, enhancing their education. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful. But to get kids, it's so inspiring when you see kids getting a plane ride for the first time, and then they go out and they win these awards and come back, and it just inspires everybody. It's just been absolutely wonderful.
That's so great. Yeah, and I feel like I've maybe talked about this before in another episode, but it's like when you're a student and you're in that K-12 environment, a lot of times you kind of follow down the path of what your parents did, and unless your parents have had these like variety of experiences, you might only see like a small segment of whatever your family does.
That's right. Exactly.
And so getting those opportunities to fly and go to different states and see different people and what they're doing, that really expands your horizons of what's possible.
Yes, and we tell them that nothing's impossible for you.
Yeah.
And the opportunity too, because we have our parents involved, and they go with us, and it's an eye awakening for them also. So and then it inspires them to encourage their children to develop their future.
Yeah, because if your kid's interested in something and you don't know anything about that field, it's hard to envision like, oh, well, no one's ever been a doctor in our family. How are we going to get you into med school, But then they see those things happening and they get to talk to other parents. That's smart.
Yeah. It's really, really good, and we've enjoyed it, and the kids, it's had a big impact on the community. As far as the students and parents are concerned, and we're just so fortunate to have so many people that are encouraging and that are willing to help with this kind of thing. And we've got even volunteers. They don't even have any children or grandchildren, and they just volunteer because
passionate.
They want to see kids doing positive things.
Yeah. Well, and I have no doubt it's also all due to your phenomenal leadership. You say the Helen Howell and the community, and people love you.
Well, I enjoyed, because I didn't grow up knowing anything about this kind of thing and didn't have it. So I'm enjoying it as much as the children
That's
are.
great. Yeah.
And you get to network with a lot of people, and that's how you bring them in, and they are willing to help. And when they have programs, they invite you and invite the students to be a part of it. So that's just a big resource. And another thing I would like to say is a big thank you to the NCI, because NCI houses our program, and the kids get to come there and do their practices and everything, and it's like home for our NSBE organization.
Love it. That's great. We're glad to have you. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your background, a little bit about what NSBE does. We're going to cut for a commercial break, and when we come back, Ms. Howell is going to share some of NSBE's recent accomplishments, which are really exciting, as well as some other activities that they have coming up. Thank you. And we're back to what's happening at NCI. For those of you that are just now joining us, we have Ms. Helen Howell here. She represents the Martinsville-Henry County chapter of NSBE, which stands for the National Society of Black Engineers. We briefly talked a little bit about what NSBE is in the first segment, and now we're going to chat a little bit about some of NSBE's recent accomplishments. I hear that they competed in the National Convention for NSBE in Chicago. Can you tell us a little bit about the competition?
Yes, so we went to Chicago on May I'm sorry. We went to Chicago on March 5th.
Okay.
And we flew out, and a lot of the students, this was their first plane ride. So that was interesting. So when we got there, we decided, when we go to the convention, we don't just want our kids to go to the convention and say we can participate in these workshops and these competitions and we come
check
home.
off the box. Yeah.
So what we decided to, we usually try to do a tour. So we got there on the 5th, but the convention opening didn't start until that night, like at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And we took the day to tour.
Oh, nice.
And so we had a tour guide who had 20 years of experience, and he knew Chicago. I mean, he really did. It was really, really nice. So we had an opportunity. One of the highlights was we went to Barack Obama's house.
Oh, wow.
And we got to go there, and the kids got to take pictures and
Very cool.
that kind of thing. We visited some of the colleges there. We also went to, we stopped at some of the museums, and we went to Lake Michigan, of course.
Oh, nice.
And we just went and toured a lot of the places there that was historic, and they're building a big center there for Barack Obama. And it's usually when a president leaves office, they do a library.
Right.
Well, they're doing a huge center. They've been working on this since he left office. And this center is going to have everything for children can go there and do studying. There's going to be entertainment. It's just going to be all kinds of educational, and it's open to the public, and it's going to be free. And we got to go by there to see that it's going to open in 2026. So it'll be nice to be able to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the things that the students wanted to do was they wanted to have, of course, the Chicago deep pizza.
Oh, yeah.
So we went to the pizza restaurant, and we had to make reservations because we had such a large group. So I told the students, I said, you can have 2 pieces of pizza. Well, you know, they're thinking of pizza like we go to Papa John's or Domino's. And when they got there and they saw these big, huge pizzas that looked like a big, deep pie, and, you know, basically everybody had to pack up the second piece. It was so much. But that was a lot of fun, and they enjoyed that so much. And we got to go to buy Cassius Clay's home and that kind of thing. But it was a really, really good tour. He was very knowledgeable of all of Chicago, and everybody seemed to really enjoy the tour.
That's great.
And then we checked in the hotel. So we had competitions. We last year we went to Atlanta, not Atlanta, but Atlanta. And so the students wanted to do NASCAR, the middle school kids. We've always done high school. So they wanted to do middle school NASCAR. So they said if we can do it. I said, okay, we can. So they came back, and they really got into it. I mean, they worked really, really extremely hard. And it's the first time we've had a middle school. They went there, and we didn't have a whole lot of resources and that kind of thing. Actually, we had 4 students, and some of the people had 20 students on the team and that kind of thing. So they got in there, and they took first place.
I love an underdog.
Oh, they were so excited, and I mean,
That's
they were really excited. We had the help, and they really, that car, they just did it. They just took first place. And so they've been invited now to go to Charlotte, North Carolina to participate in the motorsports competition there.
Wow.
So they'll do that on the 25th and the 26th of this month.
Wow. So this was their first time doing a middle school group.
Right.
Only 4 of them, and they came in and just cleaned house, is what it sounded like.
And I'm telling you, in some of these schools, now mind you, there were 18,000 people there. And some of these schools have this as a curriculum in their school. And this is part of their everyday curriculum. And these students, came in and started this year, and they just
They
worked
are some
really
smart
hard.
kids, is what it sounds
they
like.
They were dedicated.
Dedicated,
and we had
yeah.
dedicated parents, and the coaches that were working with them was just phenomenal.
Wow. So middle school won first place. High school, how'd they do? They got second? Is that what?
Well, with the high school, we didn't have a high school
high school.
team.
Okay.
We've had high school teams in the past.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay. So you may be thinking about, well, at this competition, we not only had that, we had 2 of our students that won the National GTA Awards, which is...
That's right.
That's right. So This is a top award that you can win from NSBE. So we had our high school, the senior, she was Female Student of the Year, Destiny Johnson, and she competed with all of these students from all over the nation. They do a female and a male student, one out of the whole nation.
Wow.
And the criteria is really, really, I mean, it's just so much. You have to get letters of recommendations. Of course, your grade point average is very important in this, but you have to write essays. You've got a series of questions that you have to answer. Very competitive. And then for the first time, they gave a middle school student a GTA award. And our student won that award also.
That's awesome.
And so we came back with 2 of the top awards that you could actually win with NSBE.
That is great.
And so that is what, and with the senior, a scholarship came with that also.
Really?
Yes.
Good for her. And I remember seeing, I think she goes to Carlisle, right?
She's a Carlisle student, a senior at Carlisle. She's also president of our local NSBE chapter.
Oh, well, good for her.
She's going to Virginia Tech in the fall.
Oh, that's awesome. She's going to do great things.
Yes, yes, she will.
That's good. And does she have a major yet? Do you know?
She's going to be in engineering.
Oh, well, good. Perfect.
Yes, yes.
Well, good. That is so awesome. Well, I just am astounded at the work ethic, the intelligence, the volunteers and their passion. I mean, you've got a great system going and a great support system. It's great to hear about all this.
Yeah, the community has been, exceptionally good towards these students and helping and making sure that we get where we need to go.
And in a small community like ours, that's the kind of stories that we need to be hearing about and seeing. That we've got these kids that are, going to put in the time and the effort to make these great strides at a very young age, compete on national levels, go to college, and hopefully they all come back and help us make Martinsville even better.
Yeah, and it's not only that we had other teams. We had 2 math teams there. We had a Black History team there. We took 2 KidWind teams there.
Oh, yes.
And yes, we had all of those, and we got to go to the museums. We did tours of the colleges
great
and that kind of thing. Even with the NSBE, even after we did our tours, we got to do other things within the community also.
That's awesome.
And then the other thing I think people will be really interested in knowing is that we have, when we say kindergarten through 12th grade, they have a convention area for just the little kids.
Oh.
The K through 5th grade. And they're not all over the convention center, of course. They have a big, like a banquet room where they come in and they bring in the mad scientists and they do all kinds of STEM activities with the kids.
Oh, that's great.
And you should see them walking around with their badges on.
I bet they're so proud of
they
themselves.
are so proud, and they come back. I think it's just absolutely. So you start developing at a young age. And then you bring them into this, and they become our better students for this organization.
That's awesome. That's a great support for the academics.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing about that. It sounds very eventful, and maybe it's inspiring me. I need to get out of the Chicago airport. That's the only place I've been in Chicago. So I need to take a trip to Chicago and follow in your footsteps and see all the cool things you did.
Right. It was really nice. Great.
Awesome. Well, we're going to cut for our last commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the NSBE KidWind when they went to James Madison, or they're going to James Madison, and we'll also share some other upcoming events at NCI. Welcome back, and thank you to Miss Helen Howell for joining us today and talking to us about NSBE and their national convention, the big wins they had, the fun trip to Chicago, and I understand that NSBE also is involved with the KidWind program at NCI, and they just competed in the regional challenge in Lynchburg, right?
Yes, that's correct. They went to Lynchburg about a week ago, and our middle school came back with first place, and our elementary team came back with second place. So if you come in first and second place, you advance to state. So both teams will be going to James Madison University this coming Saturday. April the 12th, and they're going to compete at the state level.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
Y'all are just racking up the wins this year. I love to see it.
Yes.
That is so great. And this is also the first year that NCI's had the KidWind.
Yes,
so that's
exactly right.
even more cool. So let's see here. Tell me a little bit about some of the other upcoming events that you have for NSBE. We got the JMU coming up. Then you mentioned Nationals in Charlotte. When is that going to be?
That's going to be the 25th and the 26th of April.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you wrap up your season in June.
Yes.
And you mentioned your awards banquet.
Yes. So the other thing that's going to be happening this coming Saturday also is we're doing our last event at Virginia Tech. We have a partnership with Virginia Tech. We've always had that. And they do PCI, which is Pre-College Initiative.
Okay.
And they do programs 6 times a year. And we take our students up and they have their NSBE chapter there, the college students and their professors.
Oh, nice.
They work with the students. It's on a Saturday, 6 times a year, and they do all kinds of fields of engineering. Each month, each time they go, they do a different field in engineering that the kids are exposed to, and they do hands-on activities and that kind of thing. So that is, and they get to interact with the college students, and they get to go to the cafeteria to eat.
See what college is like. And that's
so
cool.
that's been really successful for us because Virginia Tech has been there with us since the inception of this program here in Martinsville.
That's awesome.
So they're going for their last one this coming Saturday also. Wow. So we got kids going to JMU, we got kids going to Virginia Tech.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just crisscrossing the state.
Yes.
Getting their wins.
Yeah. So then the fall, then we start back. So we're going to have our awards. So at the end of the year, and this is going to be held at NCI on June the 7th, we are going to do our awards banquet. And we also are in the process now of taking in new applications for new members. And those will be coming in really soon. So what we do with that is the kids go through a training, and then we have this banquet where we induct them with a candlelight ceremony, and then we showcase our students that have been working all year long and the awards that they have won and everything. And so, and we give them awards for their participation in the different activities that they have, and even the other things that they've done throughout the year, even in the communities of their volunteer service. We give awards for the students that has the most volunteer hours in the community. We give students awards for the highest grade point averages that they, at the elementary and high school level, middle school level. So it's different awards. We just want to showcase our kids at this banquet. So we'll be doing that.
Very well deserved for all of them. It sounds like that's great. And when it also just shows that there's like the STEM aspect. We want kids to learn about engineering and science and stuff. But then you also have to be involved in your community and spend time making it a better place. So it creates well-rounded adults.
So that's part of their membership is that they have to do a minimum of 10 hours of community service as far as the application is concerned, but that doesn't count towards the award. You have to be that 11th hour before your first hour counts towards to getting an award. I
see. I like it. Like the competition. Well, thank you for being here today and for sharing about NSBE and all the great things that they're doing. Any other things coming up with NSBE you want to note before I jump into my
We are
events?
going to we do a biomedical competition each year. We were involved with the Cancer Foundation, the MLC here in Martinsville, and we did some things, and they awarded us some money to help with this competition, and we used our local doctors and nurses to judge the competitions.
Oh, that's nice.
And then, so it's serious.
That is.
And what they do is they study a disease that plague our community, and they do the research on it. They have a coach and everything, and then we go and have a competition among the different schools. All the schools are involved. You can call all those. They bring in teams, and then the doctors and, like I said, and the nurses, they judge the competition, and we give first, second, third, and fourth place winners.
That's very interesting. What's the disease this year?
Well, they can pick any disease that plague our
Oh.
community, and that's the key. We said that the key to helping us with these kinds of things is education. You
That's
need to
true.
be educated on these diseases, and then starting with the children, hopefully we're going to have an impact, and you can see over the years.
Well,
to
these
come.
kids are so smart, they might cure one. So that's great.
That's not an impossibility.
Exactly.
Right.
That's so good. All right. Well, so in addition to all of the NSBE activities that are going on all the time, NCI has a couple of other events coming up this month. Our wind industry basic safety training with sea survival, that's actually happening this week at NCI. Our first robotics team, the Stags, they're having an open house this Thursday, April 10th. That's going to be from 6 to 8 at our Fayette Lab on Fayette Street in Uptown Martinsville. It's open to the public for students that are interested in learning more about Stags and how they can join the team. We have our Mommy and Me hairstyling. That is part of our Life Learning is Forever program. That's coming up this Saturday at 2 p.m. Just Call Granny is hosting their summer resource fair on Monday, April 14th. That'll be in the lecture hall at NCI. So you can come by and chat with a variety of different community partners and find out what kind of opportunities are available for students this summer. Next Tuesday, April 15th, Longwood at NCI students are sharing their presentations for their annual symposium from 6 to 8 p.m. It's open to the community, and it's an opportunity to see some of the projects that the Longwood education students have been working on to get their bachelor's degree. And then last but not least, coming up on April 19th, NCI is partnering with VMI, iView Robotics, as well as Shenandoah University and AFCEA to host a free drone event in Martinsville. This is for students aged 13 to 18, and they get to experience drone science by building a drone and learning about career options in robotics and innovation. There's just a few spots remaining. You can sign up on our website, and I believe there's also a QR code on the screen to register for the event. Our website, as a reminder, is newcollegeinstitute.org. Well, Helen, thank you again for joining us. Any final words before we wrap up for today?
Well, I thank you so much for having me here today. This has been very interesting, and we just want to thank NCI for hosting our organization and giving our students these opportunities.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for all the great work you do. And not just today, not just this year, it's been for a long time you've been giving back to the community, and we're very thankful to have your leadership here in Martinsville.
Thank you so very much.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us today on What's Happening at NCI. We'll be back in a couple weeks with our next episode.